Welcome to space.
Space to me is like going to church on Sundays.
9 o'clock in the morning, and look how many people are jumping up and down.
Of course we're gonna miss
We're gonna fucking miss the whole space.
I love space.
It's March 18th, 2000. Club Space Miami opened its doors for the first time. Originally located just a block down the street from where it is today, it was the first ever club to offer a 24-hour nightlife scene in Miami. If you're into the club life, then you know what goes on here. Weekend-long parties that go on for 72 hours straight, marathon sets that bleed into Monday mornings, but there's a part of this story that people will never get to see. The story of how one district bent the rules, and how one man built a community that refused to sleep. In the 1990s, Miami nightlife was all about South Beach. It looked a lot different than it does today. Back then, Miami nightlife was flashy, controlled, and short-lived. Dress codes and VIP tables. But there was one man that had a vision to change it all and bring the Ibiza nightlife scene to Miami. He wanted to offer it to the locals and make a nightlife community for all walks of life. This is Louis Puig, known as the guy who pioneered the 24-hour nightlife scene in Miami, and the guy that changed the law forever. So it all started in Ibiza, when at the age of 21, Louis had the craziest idea for a nightclub. While in Ibiza, he stated this: the clubs didn't close, they just stayed open. From that experience on, and from all those years of clubbing and DJing and working at nightclubs, it gave me an idea of what would make a great club. But it wasn't actually until about 14 years later that he put this plan into action. In 1999, Louis started looking into locations because he knew he couldn't do what everyone else was doing. You see, all these South Beach clubs were too saturated, too political, and they were just fake. Louis wasn't just looking for a spot that was less expensive, but he wanted to build a place that had culture, built around after hours, underground music, and a local crowd. It was then when he realized the perfect place to build space: downtown Miami. The thing was, it was the worst part of Miami. There were no restaurants, no bars, no entertainment anchors. Even cab drivers were hesitant to drop people off here. I mean, it seemed logical to not even consider this a good spot, but Louis could see the future in it. It was a perfect spot, actually. You see, it was cheap. I mean, the landlords had nobody to rent to, and it was far enough from South Beaches to drive a unique kind of crowd. But Louis knew something. The location wouldn't be enough if he wanted to attract people downtown. He would need to think of something unique, different, creative if he wanted people to come here. He decided that club space would need to be the hotspot after party. You see, back then, clubs would close at about 3 a.m. to 5 a.m. And as a pretty big party city, most people would afters at a party house. And Puig understood this. So that's when he hatched a plan to bring the Ibiza 24-hour scene to Miami. But he would need to change some laws if he wanted people to party for 24 hours around the clock. Luckily, the director of the Downtown Development Association found out about what was going on, and she was a huge fan of this. She claimed nightclubs are like the seed to start entertainment districts. Once one club opens up, a food spot opens up across the street, then another club. So they decided that they would need the town's approval if they wanted to get their 24-hour liquor license. And after a bit of convincing on the idea that people will actually be out at 7 a.m., in 2000, just a little before the opening of Space, a law was passed. A 2x2 block segment dedicated as a 24-hour entertainment district, where you could sell liquor around the clock. And in March 18th, 2000, Club Space opened its doors for the first time. It was an instant success. People couldn't stop talking about this crazy club that just never shut down. And initially it was only open on Saturdays. Space featured a variety of rooms, each with its own genre. There was the blue room for trance, the red room for house, and there was even a room for hip hop. And on the outside it seemed like Club Space was thriving, and it did, making its money back in just 6 months, but there were still many problems going on. Like one of the most popular attractions of Space, the terrace, also known as the patio. Yes, it was a massive success, but there were still problems with it. And if you don't know, the terrace is a clear, wide open patio on the roof of Space. It looks a lot different than it does today. Back then, the entire roof was open, but there was a problem. The music would project to residents of nearby high-rise condos, and the sound was described as relentless. And this was a problem because there was a petition organized by the residents that highlighted that the club's atrium design funneled noise upwards and into their apartments, which impacted neighborhood buildings up to the 50th floor. So in response to this, Louis had to add a partially covered roof. So now it looks like this today. And at one point the club was doing so well, other competing clubs on the beaches of Miami were threatening them. Lewis stated at big competitions would call bomb scares. They would tell their clients it was an after hours drug abuse people. And club space was doing so well, it started making enemies. Competing beach clubs tried to shut it down. Lewis said they'd call in fake bomb threats. They told people it was a drug den. They even tried locking DJs into exclusive contracts to keep them from playing at club space. So what did Lewis do? He fought back. He brought in off-duty cops for his security, so that when real officers came to investigate these fake threats, the off-duty guys would just shut it down immediately. And the irony of it all those clubs that tried to shut down space are no longer around. Louis Puig was never chasing trends. He never faked anything because he was building something real in a part of a city that everyone else ignored. And eventually, they all tried to copy him. And today, club space isn't just a nightclub that died out, it's a landmark. And Louis, he carved out a space. I mean, literally. He's the guy who saw what Miami could be when everyone else just saw a dead zone in downtown. It all started with a vision and became a city that learned how to party past sunrise.